Hi friends, good evening. Welcome back to Sun9 Education channel. Friends, before going to start our today's topic, a small request for you. Um, Please subscribe our channel Sun9 Education and comment and share. If you want to receive the latest information in our channel, please press the bell button and receive the latest updates. Okay, let's start today's video. Friends, in CTET, Central Teachers Eligibility Test, so the Central Board of Secondary Education has released a notification for Central Teachers Eligibility Test. So, in that particular Central Teachers Eligibility Test, child development and pedagogy is the main subject in CTET. Child development and pedagogy is the main important part in the Central Teachers Eligibility Test. This child development and pedagogy part consists of 30 questions and 15 marks. This paper, Child Development and Pedagogy, particular part in the Central Teachers Eligibility Test, consists of 30 questions and 15 marks. Each question carries 2 marks. It is a most and very important area in the Central Teachers Eligibility Test. So if you want to become a teacher, definitely you have to know the knowledge of the child development and pedagogy. That's why this area included in this teachers eligibility test. Okay, let us see the syllabus and areas concerned. This paper, child development and pedagogy, in paper 1 and paper 2 also. In paper 1, CTET paper 1 and paper 2 also. So this coming to the syllabus aspects, first topic is child development. Child development, development of the child. So two concepts are there, development and child. We know very well about the child. But what is development? Development is a continuous process. Development is a continuous process. Development is a physical, cognitive, affective, and social and moral aspects. So, what is development and what are the types of developments that will be described in this particular child development areas, that is concept and development and relationship with learning. So what is the relationship with learning? These aspects like development is like whereas physical development, cognitive development, affective development, social development and moral development aspects. What is the relationship between learning this development, relationship of development with learning? So those topics will be covered in this particular child development area, particularly concept, what is development and what are the various types of development and what is the relationship between these physical development and cognitive development, affective development and social development and moral development with learning. What is learning? Learning is a modification of behavior. It is a permanent change. And let's come to the principles of the development. First we have studied the we will study in this particular area what is the concept of the development, and next one is the principles of the development. Some certain principles are there. Development is a continuous process, development is cumulative, development is directional, like that some principles are there. So development is a continuous process. These are some of the principles of the development. Those principles will be discussed in this particular topic. And next one is influence of heredity and environment. The factors of heredity and environment on the development will be discussed in this particular area. What is what is heredity and what is environment. So those topics, and what is the influence of the heredity and environment, that factors will be discussed in this particular area. This is very very important topic also. Why? Because many of the times in CTET examination and various state level examinations, teachers recruitment examinations, many of the questions will be appeared in this particular heredity and environmental factors. And next, come to the socialization process. So socialization, what is socialization and what is social development, how the socialization process occurs, and social world and children with teacher, parents and peers. So the social development or socialization process, social development at home, social development at school, social development with peer groups, social development with teachers. What is the children's social development at home, at school, in the society? Like that, we will discuss. And what is the socialization process? How the social development will occur? Yeah, those topics will be covered in this particular socialization process. Next, these are the main important topics. That is Piaget and Kohlberg and Vygotsky. Piaget is a Swiss psychologist. This psychologist is Piaget theory of cognitive development. In this particularly in development chapter, various developments are there, like cognitive development, affective development, social development, moral development aspect. In that particular areas, like Piaget is one of the psychologist, Swiss psychologist, explained the theory of Piaget theory of cognitive development, and so the particular theory, what is his cognitive development theory, that will be discussed, like Piaget's theory, sensory motor stage, pre-operational stage, concrete operational stage, and formal operational stage. Those stages will be discussed in this particular Piaget theory of cognitive development. And nextly, Kohlberg theory of moral development. What is moral development and what are the steps involved in this Kohlberg theory of moral development? Pre-conventional, conventional and post-conventional areas are there. And next, Vygotsky theory also we will discuss in this particular chapter and particular topic, constructive and critical perspectives. Though what are those perspectives, that will be discussed in this particular concept. And next, concepts of child centered and progressive education. What is child centered education? Nowadays, we are observing in the school curriculum, that is, whatever we are observing in the school education, that is child centered education. Before that, we have give more importance to the teachers. Nowadays, that is only child centered education. We are giving more importance to the children. Why? Because they are actively involved in the activities. So activity based education. So they will get, we are giving more importance to their activities, their involvement, and their leadership qualities, whatever it may be. So that is child centered education. The concept of child centered education and progressive education will be discussed in this particular aspect. That is also very very important aspect. And the critical perspectives of the construction of intelligence. So intelligence is also very very important aspect. Intelligence, abstract thinking is known as intelligence, and types of intelligence, various theories of intelligence, group factor theory, unifactor theory, bifactor theory, multifactor theory. Those theories are there. And what is the concept of intelligence, and what are the types of intelligence, and various types of intelligence concepts will be discussed in this particular chapter, the particular area, that is critical perspectives of the construction of intelligence. Those topics will be discussed in this particular area. And multi-dimensional intelligence, that is also very important concept nowadays. It is a very important topic. It is a current topic in multi-dimensional intelligence. So and language and thought, that is also very very important. Gender as a social construct and gender role and gender bias, gender practices. What is as a gender? Social construction and gender bias and gender roles, those will be also discussed in this particular area. And individual differences, that is very very important aspect. Individual difference, the difference between two persons in several aspects is known as individual differences. That is the individual differences are two types, that is inter-individual differences and intra-individual differences. Those differences, those types of individual differences will be discussed in this particular chapter, that is areas, that is individual differences. What is the meaning of the individual differences, and what are the types of individual differences, and the factors influencing the individual differences. The factors, what are the factors that influence individual differences, and which areas these individual differences will be occurs, like personality or aptitudes, attitudes, or intelligence, whatever it may be. Several factors. There is a lot of difference between two persons in several aspects, like intelligence, like personality, like aptitudes and attitudes, and etc. Those topics will be discussed in this particular area. And assessment of learning and assessment for learning, assessment of learning and assessment for learning, and CCE. CCE also, this is very very important area. CCE, uh, also continuous and comprehensive education, continuous and comprehensive education, that is also very very important. The CCE is based on the based on the psychological theories only. That is nowadays what we just discussed, that is child centered education. CC is nothing but child centered education. Before that we have followed that teacher centered education. That is nowadays it is a totally the participation of the child in this particular classroom is very more valuable, and more importance will be given to the child. That is known as CC, that is continuous and comprehensive education. Those topics also will be covered in this particular area. And these are the main important topics in psychology or child development pedagogy are included in this particular CTET, Central Teachers Eligibility Test. And next next unit comes under inclusive education, understanding the children with the children with special needs, like visually challenged person and mentally challenged person, orthopedically challenged person. Those those children's needs, and those children's IQ levels, and those children's participation, their education, their curriculum, that will be discussed in this particular inclusive education and understanding the children with special needs. And nextly comes to the learning and pedagogy aspect. Learning and pedagogy aspects is also third chapter. This is very very important chapter. What is learning and what is pedagogy, and the difference between learning and pedagogy, and those how children think and learn. In generally, how the children are thinking and how the children are learning things in the classroom, and how to motivate the children, and how to give, how to develop the learning in the classroom, that will be discussed. Particularly how children think and learn, why children fails to achieve success in schools. So if we go through the schools results, many of the schools results, sometimes some of the schools are some of the schools, many of the children are failed in some mathematics or science subjects. So why they are fail in that particular subject? Why they are not achieving that kind of success in not achieving the success in that particular subjects, that will be discussed. And what are the failures, whether we are not motivating the children up to the mark, or what is the what are the failures for their for their failures in that particular areas, that also that will be also be discussed in this particular area. And basic process of teaching and learning, children's structure of and cognition and emotions, And motivation and learning. Motivation is very, very important in the learning aspect. Motivation is the royal road of learning. So without motivation, there is no learning. So motivation is very, very important in the classroom. If we do not motivate the children, they are unable to learn the things. So that's why motivation is the royal road of learning. So what is the role of the motivation in the learning process, that will also discuss it. And learning factors like personal and environmental, these factors will also be discussed. Overall, if we go through overall this central teachers eligibility test, syllabus, child development and pedagogy area, so there are particularly there is a development chapter, development, child development areas and individual differences and intelligence chapter, and also pedagogy aspects and learning, and what is learning and what is pedagogy, and how to motivate the children in the classroom, and mm, how to develop learning among the children, and what are the factors that they are facing, what are the factors that influence the children's learning, and how they are unable to achieve the learning in the classroom. That will also personal factors and environmental factors will be discussed in this particular child development and pedagogy aspect. So if you go through all these topics, these are particularly, these topics are very, very important topics. Child development areas, Piaget theory of cognitive development, Kohlberg theory of moral development, Vygotsky theory, and constructive critical topics. Those are also very, very important. That's why you have to concentrate these topics very effectively. And so from next class onwards, we will discuss one by one topic. Friends, this is the syllabus related to the syllabus analysis, only particularly child development area and child development and pedagogy area for CTET paper 1 and 2. In the coming classes, we will discuss one by one, and how the questions are coming and what is the description about those topics will be discussed soon. Thank you one and all. Please subscribe our Sun9 Education channel. Thank you one and all.